Focus, our Sunshine Report. We take an in-depth look at how easy or difficult it is to get access to public records.
And we check in with the Griffin family, who's spending their first Christmas after the loss of their daughter.
Plus, how a dog can save your life.
Fresno State Focus starts now.
Hello and welcome to Fresno State Focus. I'm Andrew Worth.
And I'm Phillip Menotti.
An update on the tragic shooting in San Bernardino last week. This past weekend, President Obama addressed the country from the Oval Office, claiming the attack to be a terrorist act. Obama also called on Congress to authorize military operations against the Islamic State. FBI Director James Comey also stated earlier today that the shooter's plans are believed to date back to before they were engaged and before they moved to the U.S. It is said that Malik and Farouk had pledged allegiance to the Islamic State in an online post and had been in contact with at least 2 terrorist organizations overseas. Investigators are still trying to determine what their connections were.
Fresno Sheriff's deputies are looking for a suspect who shot a 50-year-old man who was taking out the trash. Deputies say the victim was in the front yard of his home on Madison Avenue in southeast Fresno when the attacker tried to get the victim to go into the house with him. The victim refused, so the gunman shot him in the chest.
We've ruled this to not be a random attack, and that's based upon the fact that we searched inside the victim's home and we found some drugs.
The victim was able to walk back into his house to call 911. Police are looking for the gunman. They say he's a Hispanic man in his 20s, 5'10" to 100 pounds, wearing a dark hooded jacket and dark colored pants.
For many, the holidays are a time for family, fun, and cheer. But for those dealing with loss, the holidays can be extremely difficult. I recently talked with members of the Griffin family who are experiencing a huge void this holiday season.
I'll always remember her sense of humor. She could make me laugh like nobody else.
On February 21st, 2015, the Griffin family received the news that no one ever wants to hear. One moment, Molly was this caring, loving, and over-the-top compassionate young woman. And the next, she was gone.
I had 23 and a half years of a joyous, awesome person. And that is how I want to remember her. I don't want to remember how she left. I want to remember her for who she was. And when I do that, I can deal with life.
Molly was driving through this intersection when a drunk driver came speeding through and slammed into her. Now, just months after, the Griffin family is doing their best to find joy in the holidays. As a tradition, the Griffin family buys one ornament for each of their kids to symbolize something important that happened that year. A few years ago, the family tree became so overloaded with ornaments that they decided to invest in individual trees for the kids.
Now we'll always have the Molly tree. And we decided that we're going to put Molly's tree up, but we're not going to decorate it until Christmas Eve when the entire family and her aunt and uncle and her cousins are here, and we're all going to take turns decorating Molly's tree.
As hard as these times may be, the Griffin family is doing their best to stay positive and focus on the good times they had with Molly. Her father, Doug Griffin, recalled one funny memory that would end up being the last time he would hear his daughter's voice.
I invited her to come with us to the cartoon type movie, which, she had no interest in going to. And the last thing she said to me before we went out was, "I'm good."
The family intends to help sponsor a Molly Day every year on August 26th to help honor her birthday and the amazing person she was. For more information on this special day, you can visit the Molly Day Facebook page.
And that's just a wonderful thing that the family's doing to honor her life.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, it's now time for Fabi with weather. Fabi, is there any rain in our future?
Phillip, there definitely is a lot of rain coming. It looks like the El Nino is finally approaching. Now, if you look down here in Florida, they're having a lot of rain and precipitation, but also over here in the top of the United States, there's a lot of rain for us too, which is a great thing. If you look here on top of Sacramento, there's a lot of rain that's going to be coming down. Now, we're not going to have that rain today, but we should be expecting that rain coming up maybe tomorrow and also throughout the week. If we look at the Central California, what we have for temperatures, we have 62 in Fresno, and we're going to remain in the 60s throughout the whole day. If we look at our air quality, it is moderate throughout the whole Central Valley. And for Sequoia National Park, it is good weather. So if you want to go out there for finals or anything like that, you are welcome to do so. Today's temperature is 55 degrees with calm winds coming at the east at 5 miles per hour with a humidity of 57. Now let's look at our 7-day forecast. As we can see, on Thursdays, there's going to be showers. Fridays, there's going to be also AM showers in the morning. On Saturday, it's going to be sunny, which is going to be good if you want to go out with your family. But on Sunday, we're going to have more rain. As you can tell throughout the whole week, there's going to be a lot of rain. If we move on to our work week and our school week, we're going to have PM showers on Monday and Tuesday. Looks like the weather's going to be a lot more pleasant. That's it for your weather. Moving on back to Phillip and Andrew.
Well, thank you, Fabi. Well, did you know that any individual has the right to access public records during regular business hours? We did an experiment here at Fresno State Focus to see just how easy or difficult it is to get access to public records in different parts of the Central Valley. We start with reporters Cecilia Jauregui and Janet Zaragoza. They visited the city of Sanger to find out how the process works.
As part of our class study, we went to see how easy or difficult it is for the average person to obtain public records in the city of Sanger. City Clerk Rebecca Hernandez explains how part of her job is to help gather records.
The public has a right to access documents and information of the government. And so as a local government agency, we have to abide by that Public Records Act.
Sounds simple, but it wasn't. We took the first step by requesting inspection records of sewer lines, fire hydrants, street light repairs, and drinking water. When we got to the city of Sanger, we were told the city clerk was out. Another employee asked us to fill out a record request. The following week, we received a phone call stating we had to be more specific. We made a second trip to Sanger to make our request more specific, but we still had to wait.
Rebecca asked us to be more specific, but if we take a look at the documents she gave us today, it's the same exact information that is within the 3 documents I just got handed.
Within a few days, the city called us saying the records were now available. The whole process took more than a month and a lot of pushing. But under the California law, anyone should be allowed to inspect records during regular business hours without having to wait. KMPH News Director Jim Turpin followed the process every step of the way and says it is important to take detailed notes. That includes dates, times, and names because some agencies will deny access.
Because it's your money, and they work for you. It's your money.
If there's something going on in your city that you want to know about, Turpin recommends you do your own public records check. You may be surprised how it turns out. With Cecilia Jauregui, I'm Janet Zaragoza, Fresno State Focus.
Here's another issue we looked into. Fresno residents concerned about streetlights being out in their neighborhood.
But is the city of Fresno doing anything to fix them? Reporters Fabiola Ramirez and Diana Giselle went out in search for answers.
As the days become shorter and the nights become longer, it is important for streetlights to be working properly, especially around school campuses. Graduate student Fabiola Garcia says she tries to park closer to active, well-lit areas.
There's a lot of activity of people being around and going to the store and driving by. So if something were to happen, at least somebody could be alert.
After witnessing that many streetlights around Fresno State campus were out, we went to the city of Fresno in search of maintenance and repair records.
Thank you.
Upon arriving, we went to the 3rd floor to the Public Records Office, where we were then directed to the 4th floor to Public Works Administration Office.
You would want to start across the hall in our engineering office.
As advised, we then walked over to the Traffic and Engineering Services.
We don't have those maintenance records.
Don't have them?
I mean, on distribution, we don't.
We were then given a number to the street maintenance building, where we reached David Rowe's voicemail.
Hello, you have reached Dave Rowe with the City of Fresno.
3 days later, Rowe returned the call and requested specific locations for the records. On November 18th, Rowe said he would send an Excel spreadsheet of the streetlight work orders. To this day, we have not received any records, even after an agreement was made. Meanwhile, at Fresno State, streetlights are still out. Students cross streets like Shaw every night after a long day of school and walk through these sidewalks, most of the time alone, and especially in the dark, because lights like this one do not work. Garcia, like many students, Look for ways to stay safe while walking through dark areas.
Most of the time, to be honest, it does make me nervous, especially with all the alerts I get on my phone. I've thought about carrying a pepper spray and I always forget to buy one, but I do think about it.
If you notice a street light is out in your community and you fear that your safety is at risk, report it to the City of Fresno. Fabiola Ramirez, Fresno State Focus.
As of this morning, the City of Fresno emailed our reporter Fabiola with an apology for not sending the records on time. They also sent us some of the records this morning. We will take a look and we will have a follow-up story next semester.
Well, as finals are approaching, more and more students find themselves visiting the Henry Madden Library. While some spend time studying, other students spend their time waiting in line for a cup of coffee. Thanks to Starbucks, students can get their caffeine fix they need to get through a long night of cramming.
I just feel like it gives me like that extra energy boost.
Yolanda says the long lines don't discourage her from waiting for her favorite drink, but those in a hurry need to be prepared to wait for a little while. Due to high student demand, Starbucks will be staying open until 10 p.m. during finals week.
You can tell it's the end of the semester with the long lines at Starbucks, but there are even longer lines at the testing center. Reporter Angelica Leilani was out there about an hour ago and has the report.
Hi, Phillip and Andrew. Well, finals week is definitely underway here on campus. And in my 4 years, I've never seen a line quite this long. The line is all the way from the testing center down to the Rose Garden. And students here are willing to wait just to take that final, that last exam, make sure they get their good grade. And I've tried talking to a few students today, but, well, their main concern is just making sure they focus on their test and making sure that they study while they're in line for these 2 hours that they might have to wait to take that test. Back to you guys.
Now that is what it looked like about an hour ago, and our reporter Ciclali Ocampo is out there near the testing center right now, periscoping the scene. Hi Ciclali, any improvement yet?
Thanks, Andrew. Well, as you can tell by looking at this extremely long line behind me, there hasn't been much improvement since Angelica was out here. Now, since I've been here, I spoke with a few of the students, and they told me they have been standing in line since 2 o'clock p.m. this afternoon. I have a student right here to my side who says he's willing to speak to us. Can you go ahead and give me your name?
It's Andrew.
Andrew? Okay, and how long have you been waiting in this line?
So, I've been waiting since about 1:45. Right now, like, it's almost 4 o'clock, 4:30. So, you know, this line, wait is ridiculous.
And were you expecting it to be this bad when you first came out here?
No. The first thing I saw, it was on Facebook media. So when I saw the picture going all the way from here, way past the fountain to the speech arts, I was like, okay, I got it hightailed over here. So, you know, almost 2 or 3 hours later, here I am, like, about to take a test.
All right, well, good luck on your exam. Thank you so much for speaking to us, and I hope you ace it. Standing in line, long enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, as he did mention, some students took their frustrations out on social media. We looked at Yik Yak earlier, and some students even posted they are willing to wait. They're willing to pay someone to wait in line for them. That's how bad it is out here.
So what are some of the students doing out there? Are they studying or what are they doing?
Yeah, well, they are definitely studying. I mean, they're waiting 2 hours plus, as you just heard, so they are trying to get as much of that information into their brain so they can ace their exam.
With such a long line, are they planning to wait and stay open, or do we know how long that the testing center is planning to stay open tonight?
Yeah, well, if you go ahead and follow me this way, you can see that their hours are posted on their door, and it says that this week, although the line is ridiculous, they're still going to be open at their regular hours. However, next week, once finals start, they're going to be opening much earlier, as you can tell, at 6:30 on some days, and they're going to be closing much later at 10 o'clock p.m.
Thank you, Ciclali. Man, I had to stand in that line one year, and it was really, really rough. I was outside and just had to stand there, and it was really, really bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's understandable. And most people, they end up having multiple tests at the testing center, and it's unfortunate. Some of these teachers, they don't understand the time crunch that students have to taking all these tests, and they have to stand in this long line. And that's a perspective that we wish that some educators did know about.
Yeah, so hopefully all those students can take their tests tonight.
Yep. Well, there's a lot of history in this studio we use here at Fresno State. Coming up on Fresno State Focus, I'll take you back in time to show you how the studio got its start.
Plus the joy and heartbreak of raising a guide puppy. All that and more when we come back.
This is our Fresno State, forming relationships and learning experiences that last a lifetime, making friends who are like family, learning from professors who treat us like family, and earning a degree to make a better future for our family. Engaging our alumni generation by generation by generation. This is our Fresno State. Welcome to the family.
Success. At Fresno State, it's no secret. It's discovering new ways to change our world. It's creating opportunities as diverse as our community itself. It's in the distinction of our graduates as they lead us into the future. Success is no secret at Fresno State. It's our mission.
To a close, all of us here at Fresno State Focus are grateful for the studio that we have been able to work in. I take you back to where it all began.
For almost 60 years, some of the best reporters that have come from the Central Valley used the Merlin D. Burris television studio right here at Fresno State. Also known as Studio A, decades of Fresno State Focus shows have been produced and careers were created. And the man the studio was named after made a lasting impact.
It's well deserving of this honor to have the studio named after him because he put his heart and soul into building this studio. Without him and a few other people, the studio would have never been created.
Merlin D. Burris, a former World War II veteran, worked in Hollywood for numerous years. After Hollywood, he moved his family to Fresno and became an educator at Fresno State. That's when the studio was born.
We're trying to figure out what to do here. We needed enough material in the studio to handle almost any kind of situation. So regardless of what camera position you have adequate lighting. And it's very difficult.
Burris went on to teach for 37 years at Fresno State and left a lasting memory for students. Dolph recalled a funny story that he remembered with Burris.
One student that had his feet up on the table, and Merlin comes in and says, "What are you doing?" Knocks his feet off the table. The kid went back.
Burris was the man who started it all, and the studio has never been stronger with new state-of-the-art equipment. But something will never leave: his legacy.
A dog is so much more than a man's best friend. They're a companion that can change your life. Reporter Jonathan Roque spent an afternoon with a local group who trains puppies into guide dogs for the blind.
At first glance, it is just a man and his best friend. But with the second look, the harness indicates Leaf is a guide dog. William, Elliot, and Leaf have been working together for 2 years. After a series of blood clots, Elliot lost his sight in his left eye. The vision in his right eye is severely affected. Before Leaf, Elliot used a cane to get around.
When you have a cane, you find your way into trouble. The cane tells you when you're in trouble. The dog never lets you get into trouble in the first place.
Volunteers from the organization Guide Dogs for the Blind raise and train guide dog puppies. Vanessa Farmer has raised 5 guide dogs.
The baby puppies, we start with the housebreaking, and then home behaviors, learning to chew on only their toys and things like that. And then we also take them out on socializations, to restaurants, to shopping, to movies.
Through a series of walks around Fig Garden Village, the goal is to expose the dogs to different situations so nothing is new and scary. When a fire truck happened to be in the same area, it was a perfect opportunity for the guide dogs to familiarize themselves with firemen. Puppies are taken in at 8 to 10 weeks old and are with their trainers for a year and a half. Then it's time for the guide dogs to begin their new careers. Let's go. For puppy raiser Karen Harness, each time one leaves is bittersweet.
But yeah, it's hard to say goodbye,
And then when you go and you get to see them graduate and go on to the person they're partnered with, is also very rewarding.
Guide dogs are strictly trained, but once the harness comes off, they are just normal, playful dogs. Leaf even has his own Facebook.
If you like to read the adventures of a guide dog, the thing with Leif is all the stories are told from his point of view. So he's the hero of his own stories, and I'm the villain.
Leaf has completely changed Elliot's life for the better, bringing companionship and joy. In Fresno, California, Jonathan Roque, Fresno State Focus.
Coming up in sports, it was championship week in the Central Valley.
Cougars versus Patriots in the Division I championship. Who would walk away with the title?
Plus, Fresno State's women's basketball team hits the home court trying to bounce back from a loss. Stay tuned for sports with Keenan Sanders.
Bulldog spirit up in my head.
Up in my head.
Up in my head.
I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Up in my head to say. I got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Hey. Down in my toes to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Deep in my heart. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. All over me. All over me to stay. I got that bulldog spirit.
Deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. I got that bulldog spirit.
Hello and welcome to our final edition of Fresno State Focus Sports. I'm Keenan Sanders. On Friday, we had championship football being played all throughout the Central Valley with some great matchups all the way from Division I to Division VII. Each squad duking it out for all the marbles and a chance to be crowned Valley champions. Let's head out to La Monica Field where the Clovis High Cougars face off against the Liberty of Bakersfield Patriots. Pat's fired up. Cougs fired up. Let's get this thing on, baby. As we wait a second, Cougars would start off red hot with Sean Kunzinger working the offense down the field. You'll see it here. He decides to take a shot downfield and it connects. So he decides why not do it again. You'll see this. He hauls in, Christian Copeland that is, hauls in a 44-yard touchdown pass to put Clovis High up by 7 early. The lead wouldn't last though, as Liberty would score on a punt return to tie it up and then pulled ahead on the sneak by Jordan Love. Cougars would score on a 1-yard touchdown by Josh Hokett as well before the Patriots would pull ahead by 2 touchdowns to make the score 28-14. And all of that's just in the first half. Clovis High would not go down easily, however. Just watch this catch and run up the sideline by Christian Copeland. And in case there's any doubt, a little bit of shake and bake, runs past, and just watch the man in blue on this. Touchdown indeed, sir. However, that would be the last time that Clovis High would reach the end zone as the Liberty of Bakersfield Patriots turned this one into a rout, scoring 28 unanswered points in the final half for a final score of 56-21 en route to capturing their second title in school history and their first since 2001. Shifting gears now, we have some women's basketball action to catch up on. Coming off that loss to Cal Poly, the Lady Bulldogs were hoping to rebound. See what I did there? Against the Cal State Stanislaus Warriors. Quick shout out to Andrew and Phillip, they were crewing this game. So a lot of missed shots in this first period, but the Dogs have no need to worry because they have Mariah Falk. You'll see here, she drains the three-pointer to knot up this thing at 9. The Dogs only hit 4 for 14 from behind the arc, but it doesn't really matter when you have such a sturdy defense. Speaking of defense, let's go ahead and jump ahead to the third quarter, which undoubtedly belonged to Bego. Mise Bego Faz Davalos, the product of Monterrey, Mexico. She's been a playmaker all season for the Bulldogs. She finished up tying Mariah Falk for the team lead in scoring with 24 points apiece. Bego also had herself a team-high 15 rebounds as the Dogs win in convincing fashion by a final score of 72-49. Next up for the Dogs is their matchup against San Diego this upcoming Saturday. Fresno State has many Division I teams. However, there are several athletes who simply want to compete while having fun and staying fit. I had the opportunity to meet some of the students who have the desire to play the sport they love.
For Jennifer Gaeta, getting
Chance to play on a soccer team at Fresno State is a great way for her to stay involved with the sport that she loves. I've played soccer for a long time, and the team is playing well, so I like playing with them. Jennifer is a member of the 831 crew, a team formed through the intramural sports program at Fresno State. The teams are made up of Bulldog students who just want to compete. It's also a great way for them to stay active and socialize with other Fresno State students. Goal! Students who sign up for the IM sports program will become a free agent in their sport, making it easy for other students to recruit them.
We made the team, and we just invite the other players to play.
Joel Perez's team, Clue Fresno, currently has a record of 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. Each team plays 6 to 8 regular season games, and then they move on to the playoffs to compete for the championship. The winning team gets t-shirts made for each player and is named champion, but most importantly, the players have fun and get to stay active.
I recommend it because it's usually something like outside of school. It's just that fun activity to keep you going, to make you less stressed. I definitely recommend it.
And for college students, a little less stress can always be appreciated. For any students that want to participate in any intramural sports next semester, you can do so by logging on to imleagues.com and going to the Fresno State page. Any questions can be answered at the Student Rec Center or by calling 278-0776. So, heck of a semester it's been, right, guys?
It was a blast. Long, hard, but really fun.
Yep. You know, all the hours you put in are totally worth it in the end.
And it's bittersweet, you know. We're going to the real world now and moving on in our lives. So
for you guys are graduating.
Yeah.
But I'll stay here to take care of the Fresno State Focus for next semester.
You better hold down the fort for us. That's all I'm going to say.
We'll make sure to stop by and keep you going. But that was pretty cool. I liked the goal that you kicked, but you threw up the field goal.
You know what? I diversify. I like both kinds. I like football and I like football, so sometimes you just have to mix the two of them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Makes sense.
So, you know, kind of be a citizen of the world sometimes.
Do any of you guys have to take a test in that testing center?
No, thankfully I don't.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing.
Oh boy.
Nothing for
I am
me.
dreading it,
So.
especially after Siglali's live shot. That was terrifying.
You might just want to camp out. I heard a student camped out last semester.
You know, I might as well just raid my pantry, see what, you know, provisions I can get for myself, and then, you know, just bring a tent and pitch it or something.
Who knows, that guy who wants to pay somebody for waiting in line, I might want to do that, take him up on that offer. So.
Perfect. Sounds good to me. All right.
So.
Easy money fast.
Well, that's a wrap here for the semester here on Fresno State Focus.
We'll be back with an entirely new crew of anchors, reporters, and producers.
Until then, happy holidays.
And you have yourself a happy and safe New Year, everybody.